Hello, everyone. It is Colleen Coles, and I am so happy you're here to discover what it takes to really know, live out, and be your purpose in the world and turn that into a career you love without losing the success you've worked so hard for, and to really start to own what it takes to live your truth, be who you truly desire, and truly live out that calling you know deep down is in your heart and make it your reality. So I'm Colleen Coles, Purpose Alignment Coach, and let's go ahead and get started. I want to really quickly invite you to, be present, because that's really one of the first steps in being able to follow your guidance and follow what you feel you're really called to do. And so even something small like this, like a webinar, you never know what effects it'll have profoundly in the rest of your life. So do become present, grab some water, grab a notepad and pen, because we're going to go diving deep, and I'm so thrilled, and you want to get everything you can out of this. So let's dive in. Cool. So this masterclass is for young professionals who are in a career you probably are very good at, you've probably trained for, but you know that it's not fulfilling you anymore. And you desire to live out a greater purpose and have a career with meaning. Now, this is also for you if you have an inkling or maybe even a strong vision of what you're really meant for and what you'd really love, like your dream, but yet you're not doing it and you don't know how to move forward. So in the next 45 minutes, what we'll be talking about is how to really figure out and get clear on your calling, on your purpose, on God's will for you, and really get out of feeling stuck. Also, we're going to dive into the secret of getting crystal clear on what you are meant to do and how to take that next action, like how to really start moving forward with ease instead of feeling like you're procrastinating or not confident to do it. Also, how to have the courage to step into that dream and when you've been feeling so fulfilled or unfulfilled and maybe like you can't do it, and that you don't have to sacrifice any success that you've already gained thus far in your career if you go do what you love, okay? And in fact, what's so exciting about that is you'll actually get the opportunity to, through being who you are and offering your gifts and living out that vision you see deep down, be way more successful than you could even be playing it safe. I'm going to pause 1 second. Hold on, people. Sorry. Just taking notes on something. All right. So there's me with a really cool horse. I really love horses. But my promise to you is that I'm going to show you my step-by-step system on how to get clarity on that vision, know your purpose, become the confident version of yourself, and how to feel free in a meaningful career, doing what you love, really what you want, and having the confidence to go out and get it. So I want to lay some ground rules, if you will, because all of this sounds awesome, which it really is. And it's all not just sugar-coated. Like, this is real life. And so I want to kind of give the lay of the land now. So nobody finds and lives out their purpose without a hero's journey. Okay, meaning that whatever it is you truly desire, sometimes I really like Disney movies, and sometimes I think of Hercules, and like, he knew what he wanted, he knew who he was deep down, and yet he had to go through those trials, right? And go, talk to Hades and fall in love and come back out and like go through the mountains just to get to what he saw. I also think of The Alchemist a lot, if you've ever read that beautiful book, but it's not easy. Just because you're clear on what you want doesn't make it that it should be easy, because you need to become the person to be able to handle that dream. And so that's the hero's journey, and nobody gets to live out that dream without that journey. The biggest challenge of walking your path and doing you is to trust the process that's leading you there. It can be so hard to really trust yourself and what you want, but that's what's necessary. And it's also part of the process to trust this path where you don't know where it's going to lead, but you can know you're on the right track. But that's the biggest challenge. Instead of thinking you have to do it all your own or figure it all out, in fact, you don't, and there's a better way to get to what you want. And part of it is that you have to trust that process. So it takes real dedication to face your fears and do the work to do you. Really, you have it all in you. That light is in you. That dream is in you. It's about uncovering the layers like an onion that are keeping it from shining. And so that's what we're going to talk about today on how to do just that. And finally, nobody can do this for you and nobody can save you, not even me. So like after this webinar, if you're like, yes, I can do this, it takes a little bit of work, but what's really great about it is that you get to take responsibility for it and then also claim the results of it. So you're the only one that can save you, and choose to stand up for yourself and for your dreams. If you aren't open-minded to trying a different way, I can't help you. We're going to be talking about today some different types of topics, like if you will, esoteric a little bit, some spiritual concepts, and if you're closed off to a different way than maybe what like a career counselor might tell you, or I don't know, like just the normal way, then this isn't for you. So please do be open-minded if you'd like to get the most out of this, and that's just how I roll. But yeah, so the results of my clients are awesome, and they're also completely possible for you too. So let's dive in. Okay, so does this sound like you? You're in a job that you're really good at and you've had success in, but it just doesn't light you up anymore. It just does not light you up. You're feeling stuck in your life direction, but you're not sure where to go next. You want to help more people and make an impact doing something meaningful, but you don't know how, and you feel like you're not doing that right now, even though it's helping some people. You feel like you have a higher calling on this planet, and that you may even deep down know what that is, but you're not living it out, and you don't know how to access that and make the leap to go after that dream. If you're feeling stressed from your job, you need to be better at it, but you're not enjoying it. Maybe it's not for you. You just don't know how to get out of it. All right, you have so many interests and passions. You couldn't just pick one. And that you're feeling overwhelmed with the idea of doing something different because you're afraid of having to start over. Do you want to follow your calling, your purpose, God's will more than anything else, but don't seem to know what He's telling you or really how to move forward? Do you have a hard time trusting your intuition, hearing yourself, and knowing how to go after and just be who you want to be in the world, or say what you want to say, speaking your truth, owning and claiming who you are? Are you afraid of what other people will think of you? Are you afraid that like you have to be good even though you don't necessarily feel great? You feel like you have to show up in a way that's not authentic to you just to get ahead in your job? Maybe you're afraid that what you actually want, you wouldn't be supported, or that what you desire isn't really realistic, or it takes so long to get there. Are you feeling impatient, overworked, and unsatisfied, and scared to really go after your vision? And finally, do you feel like whatever that thing is deep down in your heart, that you don't actually deserve it? That you don't actually deserve that big dream in your heart? Because if that's you, this is good news. It's not that you're flawed. It's not that you have to get better at what you need to do. It's not even that you have to work harder. What you need is to discover the steps that I'm going to show you on how to go for it and live out your purpose. So once you master these steps, I'm so excited to tell you that you will be feeling so free. You'll be feeling so free because you'll be in alignment with your truth and what you see yourself really doing in the world. No more hiding, no more playing small, no more, shuffling around in confusion. You'll just be in alignment on the fast lane because you know where you're headed and you're going to go for it no matter what. You will love and honor yourself so much more because you're not betraying yourself by not doing what you would love and what you know in your heart is for you. You're going to wake up feeling excited and joyful, and just picture your most beautiful, ideal morning. Maybe instead of rushing and waking up and going to a job at like 7:30 or 8, you actually get to take your time. Do your praying, your meditating, or whatever is in your routine, have your coffee, and then, go to work on your schedule. If that's what you want, you get to have that. And you get to be excited rather than like grumpy or frustrated when you wake up, because you're on track, you have a mission to carry out, and you're designing your best lifestyle. Finally, there's so many good things. Know that God supports you and is on your side because you are in connection more than ever before. And also, finally, just that your relationships are going to get healthier because you're not begrudged by what you feel you have to do, but you're actually living out what you can see for yourself. And finally, what's so cool about this process is that you are going to not even just like float away like a butterfly, but be more productive and motivated and focused. Okay, so bam, now is the time more than ever. I'm going to be sharing some really cool concepts here in just a second. But what's so great is that we are living in a time where basically all our needs that are very fundamental are actually provided for, more than in any other time period on the planet. And so what's so fun about that is we get the opportunity to rise up and serve more people doing what we love, and that this is possible for you. You don't have to hide anymore, and you don't have to think this isn't possible. Just as an example, Emma Stone right here, she actually went to my high school in Phoenix, Arizona. And what's so funny is like she was just one of the girls, but yet she had the clarity of her vision and went for it and did it like no other, just pounding the pavement. And now she's an Academy Award-winning actress. But it's because she had faith in herself and the passion to go after it. If you're not feeling that passion yet, that's okay. We're going to be talking about that. But having the gumption and clarity to go after what you want is like the opportunities here. Same with Sheryl Crow. She used to be a teacher, but she got so clear on what she actually wanted to do and stepped up to it. Now she's living in her zone of genius as a singer and making way more impact than just in that classroom. I love Shark Tank because they give us the opportunity as well. Like if people can make a difference and make money selling pictures of cats or baby moccasins, then you can too. It's just about getting clear and going for it in a confident way to follow your dream. Same with Tori Kelly here. She was discovered on YouTube. I mean, how cool is that? So let me talk about, and I want you to check in right now. I want you to check in where you're at, how confident you might feel, and maybe you're feeling stuck because of these things we're about to talk about. So we are truly living in a different age. I'm going to get a little esoteric here, so let's do it. So this is the chakra system. And basically, our collective unconscious has been in the game since like humanity started. And this is from Carl Jung, who is the protege of Freud and a psychotherapist. And he coined this term of collective unconscious. Okay. Now, in a more metaphysical way, we're talking about the chakra system, and this is the energy system. This is how our energy flows in our body. And these are points in our system where energy is passed through and then expressed in different ways. So each color has a different frequency and also a different purpose in our own evolvement and also collectively together as a humanity. So again, more than ever before, we finally have, if you will, our basic needs met. I was about to say get our shit together, but obviously there's a lot of craziness in the world. However, we do have access to food now. We have access to water. We have access to shelter. We have access to family or tribe, right? I mean, even through the internet. And so in the past, we weren't always able, even if we had the clarity on what we wanted and what we felt was our calling, we weren't able to go for it because all of a sudden, oh no, my family needs food and there's a drought, or, Great Depression or the plague. Like, humanity had some really, really intense times where we didn't have that foundation laid. And now we do. We all have access to these things, even though it can maybe be hard to get. Any one of us can go to the grocery store and get what we need to feed ourselves. And so there's also now a shift going on where it's collective unconscious, and it's how our energy works. So back before we had these foundations really laid, we would help the tribe, and again, this collective consciousness, we would help that tribe by fitting in and not straying, because it was unsafe to really be who you were and stray away from the tribe. So even think about, like, if you were, a Native American and you went out on your own, you'd probably die because you didn't have the resources to be on your own. Okay, so you had to stick with the tribe and kind of follow your role. Now, we're going through a shift collectively, starting from 2012. And what's so different about this is now we actually help the tribe by being our unique self and honoring our gifts and who we are, being ourselves in the utmost way. That by doing that and sharing our gifts in the only way that we can do, we lift up the rest of the tribe. We pull them up, okay? And when everyone starts to do that, we all really expand. So another really cool thing about this time period we're in is that it's not all about just getting it right and getting it perfect. If you think about literature back in like 1940s, 1800s, it was really about creating a piece that was marvelous. Every word was flowed and like it all made sense. But now it's not that time to be so perfect. It's actually a time where we're in a quickening and people need help. We need you, and we are ready for you to claim your gifts and claim your calling so you can help everyone expand, because in doing that, everyone will benefit, and only you have that certain gift, calling, and personality to bring it to life. All right, so it's not about getting perfect. It's not about getting prepared for years and years. We're actually in a quickening where we need you now. And so what's cool, back to like Shark Tank, is that if you just go for it, you can succeed because we're ready for it now. Okay, so it's not about waiting, it's just about getting it out there. And I'm gonna show you how. So this is the one thing you need to really know. There are 5 steps to master in order to hear your calling and do what it takes to follow it. And that's what we're gonna be doing right now. So before we do, who am I? Just as a quick introduction. So my name is Colleen Coles, and I'm a purpose alignment coach. I'm a certified life coach and also a licensed teacher. I'm a graduate of Gabrielle Bernstein's Spirit Junkie Masterclass, level 1 and 2. And also was an apprentice for my first coach, who was a master of spiritual psychology. So I learned a lot about psychology, majored in it as well, and was able to, through experience and then practice, kind of, gain these tools to really do deep transformation and help others go for their dreams, being who they are, getting that dirt off of them or those like layers away. Also too, I've successfully found my thing, and from that, in doing it now and claiming it, felt peace, freedom, joy, and it's affected every area of my life. The more that I step into alignment with my truth, standing up for what I truly do desire, the more everything seems to flow. My relationships are affected in a super positive way, like my husband, my family, my friendships, environment. Like, I found this beautiful house in the country, and I really attribute it to me raising my light and frequency and being so much in alignment that I'm feeling so confident to then like even just ask for what I want and receive it from the universe. Okay, so it wasn't always that way. All right, so I majored in elementary education, and I always had a pretty easy time doing things that were bigger, like seeing what I really wanted in the bigger picture. Okay, so I kind of always knew I wanted to be a teacher, but for me, that meant, okay, being an elementary teacher, having my own classroom, teaching 5th grade, great. And so from Arizona, I got the chance to student teach out of state. And while there in the East Coast, I came to Charlottesville, Virginia, and immediately when I visited, just off the cuff, I fell in love with this city. And it was kind of this pulsating knowing of like, I gotta go back. I want to live there. And so I went back to Arizona, graduated, and moved all the way across country on my own to Charlottesville, Virginia. So for me, it was kind of like, I didn't know how I was going to make it work. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I just knew I wanted to be a teacher and I wanted to go to Virginia. And one reason was because, oh, there's so many jobs in Virginia, especially with teaching. And so when I got there, I thought it'd be easy. I thought, I'm following what I want to do. And it was really difficult. I never had my own classroom. I never got a full-time teaching job. And I had a lot of shame around that too. Also, in the past, I was very controlling and untrusting of myself and just super, super indecisive and feeling like I couldn't speak up and I couldn't do what I really wanted to do. I remember being a teacher where basically I was substitute teaching. And I was finally hired full-time as a substitute teacher in this small school. And I was doing the teaching thinking like, okay, this is what I need to do. I need to be motivated and I need to love this and I need to be like applying to jobs and showing them what I got. But I just wasn't motivated to do it. And it felt like there was something wrong with me. There was so much shame around it because it's like, Colleen, like you've studied for this, you've planned for this. This is what you should be doing. This is what you should be liking. But I wasn't, as much as I was really, really trying. And I thought there was something wrong with me, that I need to be a better teacher. I need to, be more motivated. And finally, I remember this day where I was done teaching a kindergarten class. The lights were off in the classroom. I was writing notes to the teacher that she probably wouldn't even read. I was just feeling so inadequate, like my life didn't really matter. And, it was so hard because inside I knew something big was meant for me, but I didn't know what it was. And I didn't know how to freaking access it. And my life was so much different from that inner vision or desire of like, I could be something in the world. And maybe that's something you can connect with too, of a bigger dream for you. But finally, I was so depleted, walking out of this classroom thinking like my life was over. And I look to the right as I'm shutting the door, and there's this magnet on this teacher's wall, and it says, do more of what makes you happy. And at that moment, I was like, she's so lucky. How lucky is she that she gets to do that? And I thought about her, and I was like, this teacher actually is a really wonderful teacher, and she loves what she does. And I was like, well, maybe if this is what she says to do, maybe I should do more of that and I'll be good at what I do. And so I started to be like, okay, I think that's what I want. And so I started to actually just do more of what made me happy and started pursuing, things that I thought were interesting, which were spirituality and personal growth and just having more fun. And finally, it got to a point where I started to realize, what? I want to be like a counselor. And then I even found life coaching. I was like, I would love to be a life coach. And now flash forward, I'm in a classroom. This is me substitute teaching. I dyed my hair brown so that students would take me more seriously. It didn't really work though. But I remember sitting at that desk and I was really stuck again because I started to really recognize what I loved. And I could start to see a vision of that. But I was so stuck because I was like halfway there and I didn't know how to make the leap. I remember sitting in that chair and I was watching a Tony Robbins video while I should have been planning my work and my lessons. But I just was so over it and I didn't know how to get out. And I was still in that, which I said, okay, I'm ready to go from, but having to still do it. And thinking like, I'd rather watch, this Tony Robbins video, and how am I going to stand up for that? Like in what I want, because I have to spend my time teaching. And I was really, really feeling stuck. I remember at one point, I finally did find clarity on that vision for myself and my dream deep down that I wanted. And while I was in this process of still kind of teaching, but also doing what I loved on the side. One teacher said, Colleen, it's like I was doing this other job and math was what I was doing at night, like without anybody looking. And she became a math teacher and loved it. That's kind of what I was doing, but with personal development stuff. So I was in this course in 2014 with T. Harv Eker, this guy right here. And he had this really cool course about spirituality and money. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. And I was just loving it. And at one point, there was this video they showed at the intro of the class. And there was this one scene that flashed where he was at a podium with hundreds of people, thousands of people watching, and all these flashes of light going off from their cameras. And he just looks down at his notes and he's smiling and he's turning the page. And in that moment, I saw myself there. I saw myself wearing this canary yellow shirt I had from Banana Republic and these trouser jeans and my hair slicked back. And I saw myself in this vision and it came to me. And I was like, wow, that's what I want to do. And later on, I found this new mentor, Gabrielle Bernstein. Similarly, it was during a snowstorm when I should have been planning my Spanish work, which I was substitute teaching at the time. And yet I somehow wandered to this video of Gabrielle Bernstein doing a live talk at a conference. And I remember my husband walked in and he said, whoa, is that your twin? I was like, haha, no. But inside I was like, I hope so. And it's this woman, Gabrielle Bernstein, and she's a speaker and she's a coach. And I was like, maybe that could be me. I went to her Spirit Junkie Masterclass, and when I saw her on stage, I just burst out into tears. And she came up, saw me in the first row, and held my hand, and she said, you made it. And I remember having this deep connection to seeing my future as a speaker, as a coach, but teaching from the stage. And it was so miraculous that I felt I really found my thing. And yet, I wasn't quite there yet because I felt still like I had to do what you might do a lot. And even though I saw this vision, I felt, well, maybe it's too big for me, or, well, I better do it safe and smart. So I'm going to coach. And when I was in my coaching program, they taught a lot about how to market online, which is all good. But I wasn't speaking. And guess what? It wasn't working for me. Nothing was working. And I, again, felt the same way as I did as a teacher. Is something wrong with me? I'm not doing it right. I'm not good enough for this. I can't do it. This might not be meant for me. Who am I to think that? And so I didn't even do any of the work, and I lost track of that vision. And I want you to think about that too for you. If you have a dream deep down and a vision, I want to ask you if you're living from it, because I wasn't. I wasn't at all. Finally, in 2016, part of my program for coaching had in-person events, and we went to Paris and had a miraculous time. And the final day, I had an extra ticket to go have breakfast downtown, or downstairs of the hotel. And I found this woman who was in my program, and she was already becoming a Hay House author. And we had breakfast together. And she started talking to me about her career as a speaker. And I was like, I think that's what I'd really love, but I didn't know how to do it and get started. And she finally was like, well, it's just about living it out. And from that morning, she said, okay, where are you going to start speaking? Because she had been speaking since she was 13 years old. Now she's a published Hay House author. And I decided once I went home to stop trying to do what I thought I should do, stop trying to do what was the smart way, and just do what I truly desired and live from that vision. And so from when I got home, I said, what would I love? What would I love? And I decided I would love to talk about purpose and telling about the chakra system and a little bit of what we touched on earlier, of claiming your power now. And within just 10 minutes of calling different places, I was booked to have this speaking, when before it was so challenging to get anyone to pay attention. And I created this poster, Your Purpose is Your Power. We rocked it out at this Ashtanga yoga studio. And just for me, which was so cool, was that I had all of a sudden 4 new clients that came just from that one talk. So all of a sudden I was living in my power. And through even just this whole year of 2017, it's just been one thing after the next of the universe challenging me to keep living from that deeper vision, not just staying small, not just doing what I think I should, not just playing safe, but really going for it. And anytime feeling stuck or like out of alignment with what I really want to do, it's been an opportunity and a challenge to uncover and let go of those layers of beliefs saying that you need to stay small or do it right or just stay stuck, really. And so as I've owned my truth, claimed my power, I'm now on track to doing what I love in the world and on fire, feeling so motivated, having more and more clients. Things are really starting to roll. And that's what I want to share with you today of how you can do that for yourself. This is me and my sister at a conference where I saw one of my mentors, and it gave me that fire to start really speaking again as well. I just want to share. That's me doing a webinar now, speaking and teaching. So let's roll with this. You're ready to discover these 5 secrets, okay? So this is about how you can kind of let go of the shoulds and really be in alignment with your truth, with that vision you have, that inkling inside of your purpose that you already have deep, deep down. All right, so the secret number 1 is to master your intuition and become quiet enough to hear it. So everyone has an intuition, okay? And a lot of the times it can go unnoticed. But the most painful thing that I've found in my life is when I feel like I'm so unguided and disconnected from a bigger picture and that I don't really matter. So maybe you were like me too when I was teaching and I felt like there was something bigger inside, but I just didn't know how to access it. And what the worst part was, I remember being at the copy machine because I was just a substitute and I was doing all these like teachers' busy work. I was at the copier just making other teachers copy, and all these teachers walked through and they were like having a great time and talking about teacher stuff. And I couldn't relate. I was like, I don't matter. I don't even matter. And that was so painful, especially when I felt like there was something bigger for me, okay? And so when we use our intuition and when we connect to that bigger force guiding us, you don't feel that way anymore, okay? And more importantly, you get to take the steps moving you forward and you know where to go. When you're tuned in, you're more at ease. I want you to imagine your best ideal morning, okay? Maybe instead of rushing, you wake up and you have time to have, your routine, have some prayer time, have some meditation time, maybe you get a couple little tasks done around the house, have some coffee, okay? When you're tuned in, you're living from that truth and vision of what you desire, and you get to do what you actually want in the world because it's meant for you. All right, and the intuition piece is this first part because it's what's going to guide you to get there, and it gives you more ease during your day. More clarity on exactly what your next steps are, okay? So maybe you don't know whether you should apply to grad school or whether you can get to your dream in a different way. Intuition lets you know how and what the actual next step is. So much more confidence to be your true self, to really shine because you remember you're connected and you can just like live from that truth, doing what you truly want to do, not being afraid, and be in flow. So if you ever feel like your days are kind of disheveled, maybe you don't have your shit together, maybe you feel like you miss deadlines or you're not even motivated to get started and there's so much going on, when you're using your intuition, even in the daily things, you're going to be so much more in flow. And so I want to show you a video of what I think of when I think of being in flow with your intuition. Oh, wait. Hold on, you guys. Okay, here we go.
We're done.
Maybe that's how you feel, out of alignment.
Focus, dude. Dude. Oh, he lives. Hey, dude. Oh. What happened? Oh, I saw the whole thing, dude. First you were all like, whoa. And then we were like, whoa. And then you were like, whoa.
What are you talking about?
You, Mini Man, taking on the jellies. You got serious thrill issues, dude.
Oh,
Awesome.
oh, my stomach. Oh.
Oh, man. Hey, no hurling on the shell, dude, okay? Just waxed it.
So, Mr. Turtle.
Oh, dude, Mr. Turtle is my father. Name's Crush.
Crush? Really? Okay, Crush. Listen, I need to get to the East Australian Current. EAC.
You're riding it, dude. Check it out. Okay, grab shell, dude.
Grab
Okay, I think you get the point. Here they go. And all right. Okay, so even though that got intense at the end, my point is that when you're in flow, you're in the fast lane because you know what to do, you know your next steps forward, and you're willing to go with it. And what's so cool is that you're not trying to slow yourself down, you know, and you're you're in the fast lane. You can handle it, you can ride the wave, and you're connected to something bigger, which can get you to where you want to go faster, just like that EAC. Okay. Without your intuition, y'all, your ego runs the show, meaning that you specifically let your fear run. So, for example, if you kind of maybe know what you want, maybe you want to be an actor, and you know you need to apply and try out for auditions, and you're just not doing it. And you think, today's the day, I'm going to go for it. But then procrastination sets in and you don't go for it. That's because you think it's up to you, when in reality, you can connect to something greater and have that be the power and that thrust that can get you to it, okay? But when you're running from your ego, you're running from fear, and the bigger your purpose, the bigger procrastination can hit. So it's really important we follow our intuition. No growth, your comfort zone, where magic happens over here. You know, and what it looks like is feeling unfulfilled, lost, and that time slips by and that you're just mediocre, kind of like how I felt. This is a woman who wrote a song, and I remember it so clearly and hearing it in college. And it's a song about how when you're 22, you start off in a career or a job, and it's just temporary, you know, and you might have some dates and boyfriends on the side. But in the song, it says all of a sudden she's 28, 29, and she is still in that same job and dating a guy who doesn't really care about her, and she's almost 30. And she feels like she's not doing what she wants. She might not even have clarity on what it is because she just let herself be mediocre, but time slips by so quickly. It's like she didn't even see it happen. And that's what I do not want for you, because you're made for something more. We need your help anyway, and I want you to have the best life through following your calling. Now, this is what you got to know about intuition. You need to know what your intuition is and is not, because when you feel like you're following it, but it's actually the voice of fear, it's just going to lead you down the wrong path. And trust me, I've been there. Intuition is the mastermind. You don't have to be. You don't have to actually figure it out, okay? And when you do try to figure it out, that's when we actually get more stuck. It's about tuning in, getting quiet enough to really hear your truth and hear that guidance. Because when we feel like our stuff's everywhere and we have all these, you know, maybe deadlines to get, or so many thoughts in our head, we can't be present, you can't hear that still small voice. Okay, so it's about getting clear inside, around it in your environment, in your work that you do, and also that's outside and also in the inside too. All right, so I have a really cool testimony here from my first ever client, Sarah, who says, I landed my dream job using all of my gifts. And what's so cool is that the universe tied it in for her. So I want to ask you, you know, if you feel somewhat similar, that maybe you're all over the place and maybe have different things you could do and you just don't know how to tie it in to make your vision a reality. And that was the same with Sarah. She's such a multi-passionate and multi-talented person. She loved writing. She loved art. She loved dancing. She loved children. She loved, aerial silk. She loved travel. She loved photography. But her main thing was acting. And so she didn't know what to do. She came to me because she was feeling totally flustered, unorganized, and also too, the love of her life just stopped talking to her. And so she was really stuck. And we took the time for her to become confident enough to not even need the guy and really focus on becoming her true self, so that whoever was meant for her would come to her naturally and be attracted to her true essence, and that she would have the clarity to follow her purpose and go after that, because there's nothing more sexy than that. And so we started our whole work together by getting quiet, by tools like meditating and visualization, but on a consistent basis, which she needed the accountability for at first. But she started meditating. She was doing it consistently. She was taking action. She was following these steps about really tuning into her intuition and also hearing her own truest self and her true truth. Now, what was so cool was that, again, we feel stuck when we feel it's all up to us, and that's not true. That's just the ego talking, because in reality, we're connected and can be connected and guided by something bigger. And by the end of our work together, she was vibrating so high and being her true self and feeling confident, feeling light, and feeling really present. She got her shit together. She was being her true self. And all of a sudden, she came to my office in one of our last sessions together, and she's like, "Colleen, you wouldn't believe it, but I got contacted by a Navy officer." I was like, "Navy? You've never been interested in that?" She's like, "I know. But apparently they have a program where you can be a journalist for the Navy. And guess what? They let you write, they let you do photography, they let you travel, and they'll even pay for my master's degree with fine arts so I could be an actor." So all of a sudden, because she lifted up to the frequency of the bigger universe, of her calling, the universe tied it together, and she was able to land her dream job that tied it all for her. Okay, she didn't have to figure it out. The universe did. The universe brought this opportunity to her and combined all these things together. So she says, "Colleen changed my life in a most unexpected way," and she recommends to remain open and surrender to the process. Okay, trust the process, because when you're not sure of exactly who it is you're going to be, it's the best place, because it means you can do anything. So just being open enough and present can allow that guidance to step in and create opportunities you would miss otherwise. So where are you at with your intuition? Do you feel strong? Do you feel kind of weak? Are you, not always clear about what it sounds like? I just want you to take inventory there, and maybe then have somewhere to focus on to really help you really get clear. But this is the first step. All right. So secret number 2 is to release the limiting beliefs holding you back. Okay, so this is huge. Without realizing it, there are conditions and beliefs that are holding you back from doing what you truly do desire to do. We all have these things called paradigms or belief structures in place, and they're created from when we're really young, when we don't understand the world around us, and so we put together these simplified beliefs to have more of a grasp of our world. But the thing is, they're the scripts that then color your world and keep running your show without you even realizing it. It's kind of like if you had these sunglasses on all of the time, you almost forget you're wearing sunglasses. You just think the world looks that way. And so I want to give an analogy here. Basically, a belief system is like a roadmap, okay? And say you grew up in Detroit. All right, you have this roadmap. It's telling you where to go, who you are, and how to get to your favorite pizza shop. And you take a right here, and then you go left. And these are your beliefs, because it's how you function growing up. It's how your family functioned. It's how you get around in the world. Say you get into your 20s or 30s. Okay, you're hearing all about this, about personal development and positive growth and positive thinking, and you're starting to see, I'm not satisfied with where I'm at in life. I want to go bigger. I want to do what I'd really love to do. I want to go for it. But so this new world is Paris, okay? And all of a sudden you're in Paris and you're like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go for it. But the problem is you're still using the roadmap of Detroit, okay? You're still using the belief systems, but now you're in Paris. And so you're trying to take that right and go left to get to that pizza shop. But Paris is a very different place. You need a new map to get around. So this is kind of what happens when we're ready to change, we're ready to take the action, and we're not moving forward, and we don't know why. It's because we need a new belief structure to support us where we're at. Basically, our beliefs will run the show unless we get them in check, okay? It's kind of like this as well. Now, I want you to imagine you're in a room and you're ready to go for what you want. You're starting to get more clear on what that looks like. And you also, from step one, realize, okay, we're going to listen to our intuition. Okay, and our intuition is always speaking up, just like on a radio. Okay, it's always there. But there's a lot of other noise in the room. Maybe you have the TV on and it's on CNN and it's all about fear, and that's in one frequency. You're on the phone with your mom and she's yelling at you and she's like, what are you doing with your life? Like, stop doing what you're doing. And then you also have your dad and he's on another phone. He's on the home line and he's telling you you're a failure. You can't do this. You know what I mean? Like, it's not safe, right? Coming from that old paradigm of trying to keep you where you're at. Can you even hear your intuition? Can you even hear the radio? It's not that the radio is not playing, it's that there's so many other voices in the way. So what do you need to do? You need to turn off that TV. You need to tell your mom, Mom, I got this. This isn't what I want anymore. Click. You tell your dad, Dad, I'm sorry, but I can't listen to this anymore. You click. And all of a sudden you start to find silence. And you start to then hear your intuition. But this is where sometimes getting a mentor can help, because we don't always see our paradigms. We can't because they're coming from our mind, and we can't see the picture when we're the ones in the frame. And what a mentor or a coach can do is help you see those and remove them for you so you actually can hear that radio, your truth, your guidance. Now, finally, again, procrastination resistance happens when we're not following that guidance, and it can happen because of those inner voices running, such as, oh, I'm a failure, I can't do this, okay? So it's about getting those out to move forward. When you do clear your limiting beliefs, you make your own decisions, you actually decide what's right for you, you know what you want and what you don't, you're in alignment, you feel more free, no more people pleasing, no more limits when you think you're just ready to thrive, okay? You go past that and you imagine what's possible and you really go for it. Now, I want to share a story about one of my past clients, and her name's Katherine, and she had this commitment to her inner girl, and it was from a roadmap that she created when she was young. Okay, so backdrop on the story is that she had just graduated with her master's in public health. She had this really great opportunity at the EPA in DC to be an intern there, a fellow, and do some really great work. Okay, great opportunity. Things were really starting to move for her. She got a new house, she had like an exercise routine, and she had this great job. But she started to notice some inner resistance. She was feeling scared, and all of a sudden she wasn't always showing up for work. And the reason was because she kept sleeping in. That was her like kryptonite. She kept sleeping to deal with this pain, but basically she had everything going right outside of her and this new opportunity, but she kept sleeping and she kept missing it. And eventually she even lost her job. So finally we got on the phone together. And the first step was for her to hear her inner truth. Now this is what was really interesting about it. She said, even though it was a great opportunity, I didn't even really like the work I was doing. And so she basically self-sabotaged herself initially so that she wouldn't go, because she wasn't owning her truth. She wasn't owning her truth to be able to tell them, look, I don't like this work, it needs to change, or I need to find a new job. But her subconscious mind wanted to keep her safe in a sense, to make her happy, because she was so not happy doing that, that she self-sabotaged to sleep in so much when really, and then she lost her job, but she could have spoken up and claimed that and gone in a different direction, okay? Now, here's the interesting part about the paradigm. As much as everything was going great outside for her, once we talked, she said, I remember this time when I was playing softball with my dad, and I remember him saying, oh, you have an unworthy complex. And at the time when she was 8, she didn't know what that meant. But it was stored in her little girl, to say, I'm unworthy. And now in that moment, she made a commitment to her father. She wanted her father's love. Her father was telling you, you are you have this unworthy complex. And so she said, yes, Dad, I do, because she wanted his love. She wanted to agree with him. And she made that commitment in that moment. Now, flash forward to today, everything's going right for her. Everything's going right. Obviously, it wasn't even a great fit, but on the outside, it was going well. Okay, so she wasn't following her inner truth. She couldn't hear it, but she also kept sabotaging herself by sleeping in. Now, why was she doing this? This is a whole nother level. When we finally got clear on her saying, you know, I just remember this memory of him saying, I'm unworthy. This is what I told her. It doesn't matter how great your life is. Your commitment from your little girl to your father will dominate any time, any day of the week. And so because she had that inner commitment, she felt so worthy outside. She had a great job. She had a great, routine. She basically, her inner girl was running that show, that old paradigm, that old map, saying, I will be loved if I am unworthy. And her outside world did not match that. Okay, her outside world did not match that unworthy belief. And so what happened? She sabotaged. Okay, so it's a dual step here. By following your inner truth and hearing that, you can actually stand up for yourself and your truth and change your world without self-sabotaging. And her belief that I'm not even worthy of this goodness outside of me clashed with her reality that things were really starting to work out for her. Okay, now what happened to Catherine? She decided to go back to where she was from, and she decided to start speaking her truth, start really saying, what do I want, and going for it. And she found a job that actually totally lights her up, working with actually people that she likes to serve. And now she's a corporate woman who serves people in domestic violence shelters. So she now helps directly people who are in these domestic violence shelters, and she's loving her life. She's not sleeping in except for on the weekends. So now she's doing what she loves and not sabotaging anymore. So where do you feel stuck? How about you? Where do you feel like old memories are maybe running your life? Right? Okay, cool. Mix those up. That's okay. Secret number 3. Okay, this is really great. And it ties right back into Catherine's story. To trust yourself as much as your purpose. All right, so this is for you if you feel like maybe you're a Christian or you're a spiritual person and you're a serving person. Basically, for people like us, we want to do God's will. We just really desire to do God's will and really follow our calling, follow that we actually are part of God. We don't trust ourselves or what we want. Okay, a lot of this can stay and can come from even belief structures about like, I can't do what I want and still thrive, that what I want might not be God's will, so I can't do what I truly desire. Or maybe you see that vision and you're not going for it. Maybe you really want to be an actress and you're not going for it because you're like, oh, well, maybe God doesn't want me to. Okay, but when we don't trust ourselves and what we truly desire, we stay small, we stay scared, and we actually do miss our opportunity to fulfill that dream. Because the truth is, we are part of God, and God trusted you to live out this life. And when you get really clear on what you really want, you're going to find it's actually in alignment with your higher purpose. But our beliefs can get in the way as rules to say, oh, you can't do that, or it's not okay, it's not good. But that's not true. We have to trust ourselves as part of our intuition and go with what we truly desire. Now, I want to tell you a story, a personal story, to demonstrate this. And, like I said earlier, I was somebody who always kind of knew what those bigger things were for me. Even though some points they came kind of fuzzy or unclear, I wasn't following them. But the truth was, I knew those big things. What really stopped me was the little things in life. And I was totally just crippled by indecision for little decisions, following what I wanted, not knowing even, what to order at a restaurant because I felt like what does God want from me? Or, I don't even know what I want. What can I do? Right? So it's about getting clear on your desires, but also trusting yourself to just make those decisions. I remember one time in college where I was trying to follow God's will, trying to listen so hard to my own intuition, but I was actually hearing the voice of fear. And I was in the butter aisle, and I remember thinking, okay, do I want to get butter? Should I get the butter? And I heard a voice, and it said, yes, get the butter. So I was like, all right, sweet, getting the butter. So I grabbed the butter, walking towards the register with my other stuff. I had a boyfriend at the time who was waiting for me, so it's kind of like, okay, I gotta go. All of a sudden, I hear a voice, and it says, you don't need the butter. You don't need the butter. Go back and put the butter back. Like, huh, okay. So I, want to follow God's will, and I go back and I put the butter down. I'm walking away. I'm like, okay, well, at least that's done. And all of a sudden I hear a voice, no, you really do need butter, but go get the New Balance. You need the New Balance. Go get the New Balance. Okay, that's fine. And I go back, I get the New Balance. Walking halfway to the register, all of a sudden I hear, no, you don't really need the butter. You don't need butter. And so literally in this grocery store, I was walking back and forth, just deciding on butter. And I felt I couldn't make the decision for myself. I had to listen. Okay, and that's what's so hard. And that's also what kept me stuck from really claiming this bigger vision I had for myself, to be a speaker, to be a coach, to be on stage, and kept me stuck in teaching when I knew that's not what I wanted. I remember when I finally was clear, I was watching my Tony Robbins videos, I was doing more things that I desired, even American Sign Language, which I loved. I got an opportunity to be a sign language instructor or aide at a small elementary school in the county. And I decided, maybe this is what God wants. So I decided to go out, I interviewed, but it just didn't feel right. And it was so hard, and there were so many restrictions on it. And I was like, I guess if God wants me to do this, but I don't really want it. And I started recognizing, this doesn't feel right, and this doesn't sound good. And as I was driving home, I remember thinking, I want to give myself a little pat on the back. I want to go get a Starbucks coffee. But before doing it, I said, God, do you want me to get a Starbucks coffee? Is that okay? Asking permission. And I didn't hear an answer. And so, finally, for the first time, I was like, I'm getting the Starbucks because I want the Starbucks. And so I turn off the road, I go to Starbucks, I'm getting my white chocolate Frappuccino. And as I'm waiting for it, I look, and there's these sleeves from Oprah. And I see one, and this is what it says. The only courage you ever need is the courage to live the life you want. And that was the clarity I was searching for. That was God in action right there. What it told me was, I can do what I want. I can do what I want. And God wants the same for me. God doesn't want me to take a job that feels like crap if I don't feel good about it. Right? And so that was really the start of when I started to go for, okay, what would it take to coach? What would it take to speak? What do I really desire? And claim it, trusting my own self, even to get that damn coffee. So do you trust yourself? Do you feel like you can really go for it and even know what you want? Or do you feel scared to even try because you're afraid of what could happen? I want you to know God trusts you, and I want you to trust yourself as well. Now, I got a little backwards here. So step number 4. Okay, this is one of the last steps, and super, super important. All right. Claim your desires and live from your vision. All right. Claim your desires and live from your vision. I just want that to sink in for a second. Now, what does that mean? Claiming your desires is when you're actually clear on it. So from the little things like getting a white chocolate Frappuccino to the big things of what do I really want to do with my life? And then living from your vision. Okay. Now, when you do that, you start to become more confident. You feel like you're in the fast lane because you're not trying to figure it out or asking permission or seeing what other people are doing. You start to compare yourself less. Maybe you're on Facebook and you're starting to get clear, and you start to compare yourself and lose all motivation to just start what you were doing because you're comparing. But that just, to me, says you're not clear on what you actually want, and you're not living from that bigger place. Comparison can happen so quickly, but when we are able to get in alignment with that bigger mission we have and vision for ourselves and what we truly see our lives to be, it doesn't happen so much, because instead we can be confident in our direction. We're motivated to move forward, and we're living a bigger life. So let's see. Now, this is a concept I want to really share with you, because a lot of the times we think, okay, well, I need to stay small. I need to do the next best thing. Like, what's next? What's the safe route? And that won't always get us to where we want to go. I'm reading a book, and it's the second time I've read it, called The One Thing. And it's an absolutely great read. I'd highly recommend. But he points this out, okay? The author points this out, how we think kind of the safe route might take us to our vision. And it could. But when we're not connected to that bigger dream, when we don't feel like we're worthy enough to receive it, when we're not taking the actions to really line up with that, we're not going to get to that bigger outcome. Okay, it's counterintuitive, but we take the action thinking, okay, well, this will lead me, but really all it does is lead you to the next safe route. Okay, and just one thing I want to candidly share is I was doing that same thing to myself by being a coach and only working online. I remember trying to create a webinar just like this, and it was around content that I felt like I had outgrown, but yet I still wanted to do it because it's what my mentors were saying was right, and yet I felt really disconnected. And I kept trying to become this coach online who just, stays small, but like hidden a little bit, but still has clients. And that's the safe route, because that's what everybody's doing, and that's how you make more money, and that's how you can make it easy for yourself. So do it that way. And at one point, as I was just talking to my mentor and trying to make this webinar thing work and stay small in that way for me, I was so depleted, and I just didn't know how to move forward, because I was like, I'm doing everything right. I'm doing everything right. But at one point, then finally, I just had this burst of clarity that day. I had this burst of clarity of saying, you know what? I'm going to speak up. I'm going to say my truth. I'm going to be free and live how I want to live. Stuff started to change, because what I realized was that if I had run the webinar with the content I no longer even really cared about, even though I was good at it, then I would have attracted people for that issue, and I wouldn't have wanted to work with them. And it was just this cycle of not me connecting to my bigger vision, which was being on stage and speaking. And so even though it was the smart way, it really was just preparing me to stay small with a small outcome for me. Okay, now here's the difference. I didn't connect what I was doing in those safe, smart actions with my bigger goal. And this is what the author of The One Thing says. He says, how big is your box? What we actually need to do is not just do the safe route. We don't actually just need to do the safe route. What we need, because that gives us the small outcome over here, okay? When we ask questions about what, how, and who that are smaller, we're taking actions that are smaller, and they don't actually prepare us for necessarily what we want. Now, when we get clear on our visions, and when we claim it as ours, we claim it, all of a sudden we're asking new questions, because we can work backwards from this bigger vision. Okay, from this big outcome. For me, it's to be on stage, and I'm gonna, talk to masses, and I'm gonna be like those mentors I saw and really teach to hundreds of thousands of people. Now, because I'm connected to that vision and claim it, feeling worthy of it, going for it, I'm gonna step backward and say, okay, what would it take to get there? Maybe, coaching and doing it the way that my one mentor is saying will help me, but now I'm going to do it in a new way because I'm connected to that bigger vision. Okay, and that's what I want for you, because when we're connected to that bigger outcome, we're asking new questions, and from those new questions, we're taking different actions. All right, so think about it for you. Where are you kind of staying small and asking questions maybe like, well, how do I become a better, high school French teacher, when really you don't even want to teach French anymore? You want to be a translator. Okay, so, or, how do I stay in this media job, but for you, you're doing that media stuff because you love to act and you love to like proclaim and be that, and that's what you really want, is to be an actress. Like, it won't necessarily get you there. So I want you to connect to the bigger vision. Now, here's an example for you exactly of what I mean. Okay, so this is a really cool story about a person that I used to work with in a restaurant. And he finally did claim his desire after we spoke, which was amazing. Now, he was somebody who felt so out of alignment because he just had moved into town. He felt like he didn't know what he wanted. He felt there was too many options for him to choose a career, but he really wanted to get down to know what his calling was. Okay, now, time out, side note, a lot of clients I've worked with used to say, like, I don't know what my purpose is. I'm feeling so stuck. And it makes sense. We have a lot more options. We have a lot of desires. And again, we're living in a time when we can actually fulfill them all. So how do we choose? Now, this story, I think, will help give clarity. And with a lot of different clients I've worked with, once we actually get clear, they really do know what they want deep down, but there's fear in the way, or those old beliefs, or thinking you can't go for it. Back to this wonderful person, Sean, he said, I'm so stuck. I'm working at a steakhouse and I'm a vegetarian. Like, I'm just feeling so lost, but I don't know what else to do. And so I'm like, you know what? I would love to just talk with you and even interview you. And basically it became kind of like a clarity call and kind of a discovery session, which is what I offer to new clients. But so he was telling me all these things, like he just doesn't know. He could never choose. There's too many options. He loves so many things. And I would say, well, what do you want? And he says, I don't know. I just don't know what I want. And he would start to talk about more of what he loves to do, like travel and helping the poor and those types of things. And I was like, okay, well, if you could choose anything, what do you think you would love? What do you think you would love to do? And he said, he kind of looked at me in the corner of his eye. He's like, well, I did have this one idea. It's like, oh, okay, well, what's this idea? And he said, I traveled to Argentina and I was helping the poor. And I was helping them because we were scavenging old computer parts and they would make things out of them and salvage them and sell them. And he said, well, I figured out a way to make these old computer parts with the metals involved into solar panels, but they're mini solar panels. And he said, I thought, how cool would it be to actually run a company or a nonprofit that would create solar panels off of your phone, so it would charge your phone and give the people electricity off of the grid and actually help them create an income for themselves. And I looked at him, I was like, that's actually pretty specific. That's actually a really cool dream. And I said, well, why aren't you doing that? And he couldn't answer me. He's like, I don't know. But with what I've seen with so many clients and in my own journey, it's because we were afraid, or we felt like we couldn't claim it. We felt we weren't worthy of it. We felt like it wasn't realistic. And the truth is, God gave him a very, very unique vision that lit him up. He was passionate about it. And look, combine all of his skill sets and loves together: travel, helping the poor, doing something he loved with something he could do. And at the time, he was thinking, okay, well, I'll find a desk job because at least it will give me, some type of experience. So he was asking different questions, just like I had been doing. He was asking small questions to just get him to the next safe thing. But when he connected to his vision and that secret desire, he already knew, even though he kept saying he didn't, he already knew it. He started asking different questions. So guess what he started asking? How could I learn more about solar? How could I create these solar panels and learn more about how to do that? And so guess what? Instead of applying for, office jobs, he started applying for solar company jobs. And guess what? That's exactly what he's doing now. He works for one of the best solar companies in our city and is learning right now how to really do that. And he's building his dream. And the last time I checked on him, he's doing awesome. He's like, yep, I'm just on my way. But guess what? He doesn't have to be there yet, but he's on his way, taking those bigger actions, and he's going to be living out his dream. So I want you to think about, for you, what is your big vision? What is that thing about, that really lights you up? Maybe you haven't even told people about, but deep down, at least the first step of what it might look like that you would love to do. I want you to connect to that vision, because that's going to lead you home and connect you to your purpose and give you the motivation to really go for it. It's just about getting the fear out of the way, getting those beliefs out of the way, following your guidance, and then taking the action. And taking the action is our last step here. got a little crass here. Invest in mentor and take freaking action. So it's natural to feel a bit lost, even after you know what you want. It's like, how do you jump and make that leap to actually go for it and do it? Okay. Really, it's just about taking the next best step. Okay. And the car really needs to be in motion in order to have direction. You can't steer a car that's not in motion. And so when we just start moving forward, taking action, then we can really start living towards this dream. Now, back to what we were saying about, him asking better questions and getting those beliefs out of the way, sometimes that does take somebody who's done it before and somebody who can objectively see where you're at to get those roadblocks out of the way for you. And from personal experience, it's what I would recommend because that's what got me even more in the fast lane. These are 3 of my main mentors. On the right there is my first life coach who is a spiritual psychologist and just totally transformed my life. This is Gabby Bernstein, who I've already talked about, and then Gina DeVee over here, who helped me become a coach and a certified coach. But without taking the action and having somebody who's done it before lead, you can really stay stuck in the slow lane. All of a sudden asking yourself, smaller questions, you get smaller results. And that's all it takes is a guide. It's all that it takes is a guide to really get you moving. And you could take the long route or you could take the fast lane and the short route, and mentors will help you be there. Everyone has had a mentor. Everyone that's doing something in the world has had a mentor. I mentioned Oprah and her quote. She had a mentor. I want you to think of any person you think is just on fire and doing what you might want to be doing. They had a mentor. Every one of these women had a mentor. Marianne Williamson was these 2 ladies' mentor. Everyone has a mentor if they're really going to go for their dreams. So we just talked about this, gets you into the current faster, can help you take away those inner voices keeping you stuck and get you through that hero's journey. All right, so I want to just share with you some really great stories about clients I've worked with because they took the action and are now doing really fantastic things. So this is from a client named Danny, and I met him at a restaurant, and he was basically doing restaurant work, side jobs, kind of like this other guy, Sean, was too. But he loved acting and he felt he had a real passion and a real skill for it. And it's not being arrogant when you're just claiming your truth and your gifts. And there was something keeping him stuck and he wasn't sure what it was. So we started working together, and just within an hour session, he was so clear about what those beliefs were, what those inner commitments were that he felt was keeping him like it would be unsafe to do what he wanted. And when we cleared those out of the way, he started to apply for more auditions. All of a sudden, he applied for an audition on a national AMC television show called Turn. And he said it was the 5th time he applied over 7 years, but this time he felt different guidance on how to put together his audition tape. He said, I don't know what it was, but I just felt doing that. And to me, I was like, that's your intuition, friend. You're clear now. You're listening. Good job. And he landed this multi-season role on this national TV show. He's just a guy from Charlottesville, but now he's in this big show called Turn. And he said, he was unstuck and not working on his passion, but now he's doing what he loves. Here's some other clients who said, I'm so grateful for the tools that we have and for a bigger, better life. And now they're going for it. Morgan here was one of my first ever clients, and she's totally achieved all the goals she set for herself. And she still uses the things we went together. On the left here is a beautiful client I have named Anissa, and she had such transformational experience. She says, cheers to growing so much more closer to God, to purpose, to trusting and becoming more and more confident in myself. Now she's taking the step. She was stuck in a job. She's still in the job, but now she's actually moving towards her dream by taking real guided action. And then on the right here is Michael. And he said, I reached out to Colleen. That could have very easily been one of the best decisions I will ever make. We went really deep with him in his work and uncleared all of those agreements from his childhood that he made that was actually running his show in a way he didn't see it. But Once we cleared that, he lives abroad, and he was able to come back home, talk to his father again, totally uncharged, and just feeling clear, having better relationships. And now he's doing what he loves. He's speaking his truth, and he's doing what he really wants rather than thinking what he should be, because he's in alignment with himself. So today, I promised, how we can figure out why trying so hard to figure your purpose out could actually be keeping you stuck. And we went over how when you're trying to do it alone and not follow your guidance system, you will be keeping yourself stuck. We talked about the secret of getting crystal clear on what you're meant to do and how to take those next step decisions with ease. And when you're clear on your desires and you claim that vision, it becomes more and more easy, especially with your belief systems too, clearing those out of the way. How to have the courage to step into your dream when you've been feeling so down and unfulfilled. And that comes from a lack of confidence and not being sure in who you are. But we went over that too, when you trust yourself and what you desire as good enough and even as good as God's will for you. And that you don't have to sacrifice the success you've gained already. And in fact, you can become more successful doing what you love, even in competitive fields, just like my clients have of acting and, going to the military and being an entrepreneur. Like, you can do this. And we talked about how we're in a time shift right now. We talked about the chakra system, collective consciousness, and how in the past we stayed safe by sticking together as a tribe. But now we get to be more successful being who we really are, using our unique gifts and leading the tribe that way. And so we're ready for you. We need you. And that's how you can become successful, because you're going to be owning it just like these clients were as well. And so I also promised to show you my step-by-step system and how to know that purpose, get into alignment, and really turn it into a meaningful career that you know you're meant for. So these are the steps just to wrap up. We need to master our intuition and get quiet enough to hear it. That's really important too. We need to release the limiting beliefs that are holding you back, because those are the voices that aren't you, but they're running your show without you realizing it. So it's about clearing those out. Trust yourself as much as your purpose. So if you were like me and you can't even decide on whether to buy the butter or not, you can't translate that to going after what you want, because we think, oh, I'm not worthy, right? Or like, I'm not good enough. But when we step up and say, I am important, I am part of God's plan, then you can start to hear that, trust yourself, and go for it, okay? And finally, claim your desires and live from your vision. It's not about asking small questions. It's not about just doing what's safe and what you should do. It's actually about connecting to that bigger purpose, just like Sean did with his idea of the solar panels for phones, and then taking action from there, okay? And finally, taking action and finding a mentor, because everyone you know who's successful in any area that you would desire to be in had their own mentor. So now you have a choice. You have a choice of doing what a lot of people do at the end of webinars, which is feeling motivated, feeling like they can do it, but then by tomorrow that kind of fades, and the next day it kind of fades, and you don't move forward, or you kind of still are in the same scenario and you don't really do anything about it. So your choice is kind of that you can continue down that route and maybe take small moves forward, right? Or you have a choice to take some action, and that's what I want to share with you today. If you're serious about going for your dream and maybe you still feel like, I want to go deeper in this, like, how can I make that leap? I want to share an opportunity of something that can help you do that. And so what I've done is, even during this holiday season, I've set aside some time so that I can talk personally with you and have these clarity sessions to kind of go deeper for you on what it will take to follow these steps in your own life. And the cost of this is absolutely free. And this is for you if you're really ready to step up into your power and own it and be ready to take the action necessary and even do the bigger belief changing that would maybe be required for you to go for it, like becoming the person that you're ready to become. This isn't for the faint of heart. This isn't for somebody who's just dabbling and isn't serious about really claiming their calling, okay? This is for people who are really ready to make a difference, really ready to make an impact and go for it, getting more and more clear on what they truly desire to do, what that looks like, and really what it takes to get into that current and that fast lane to make it happen. Because again, we need you. But this is not for the people who just want something for free to dabble with. It's for somebody who still, it's free, but want to really claim what they're here to do in the world and find out more about how to do that. So why am I doing this? We're doing this because I want you to get total clarity around your own desire, what's holding you back, what are some of those voices, and how you can turn what that calling is into your zone of genius and into a career that you love. Because my passion and my mission is to help people of my own generation go out and really make a difference in their world and the impact, to uplift the consciousness of the planet. And so that's why I'm personally doing this. I want you to have these tools. I want you to go for it and feel like you're ready to take action and do it. If you do want us to help you and we think it's a good fit, we might invite you to become one of the new clients we'll take on this month, okay? But we'll put you through the same system, steps, accountability that all of these other clients have gone through, so that you're owning your purpose and really on the action plan to go for it and really step up and do it. Yeah. So if this is something that you're interested in, if you're ready to find clarity and really go for that vision and really step up and have confidence doing it, this is for you. And I want you to really take it now. Take this seriously. Take your life seriously. If you're ready to do what you're meant for, this is for you. And there are limited spaces available. It is the holiday season, so there's limited times. But I want you to go to this URL and go to www.colleencoles.com/book-a-clarity-session. You're going to see a beautiful page with the ocean scene and also just some information about it. And then you'll go straight to my calendar. You can book your slot and we'll be ready to dive in. So you're going to get so much clarity from this call alone, just like my friend / non-client Sean did. I mean, it's just amazing what can happen in an hour. And if it feels like a good fit and you're ready to really go for it, we can talk about working together and you can have that accountability to go for it and be in that vision. You don't have to keep looking at this vision that you see as if it's outside of you. It's something that's in you for a reason. And what I want to help you do is really just step into it now. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. All of humanity thanks you, because the more that you're in alignment with your truth, being who you are, going for your purpose, going for that calling, the better it helps everyone involved. So thank you so much for watching. You can also go here. If you have any questions for me, please feel free to email me through the same link. And I really just want to thank you for coming and hope to talk to you soon. Take care.